Absynth 5 is really an excellent tool to generate waveforms through oscillators A, B, and C, but you can also use those same oscillators to read and transmit audio signals from different sources. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to use oscillators to read audio files and to send out live audio signals coming through an input source, such as a microphone or an instrument. To do so, we must first create a new sound from the File drop-down menu. Note that the oscillator source menu is divided into three different groups. The second and third group are related to audio sources outside of Absynth. The oscillator module provides two different sample-based modes, sample and granular. With these two modes, it's possible for you to use Absynth as a sampler, reading and playing back uploaded sound data in WAV and AIF audio format. Unlike the conventional samplers, Absynth's emphasis is not on the realistic reproduction of sample instruments, but rather the creative possibilities of sample synthesis. These next steps are applicable to every oscillator on the patch menu, as all three modules can load a sample, so you can mix a total of 3 different samples into one single audio result. To load a sample into an oscillator, choose the sample option from the oscillator mode menu. Now, where it reads None between parentheses is really where you must click to select a sample to load into the oscillator. From the browser, navigate and select the audio file you would like to process in Absynth. I am going to select this guitar loop that I've recorded earlier today. Before listening to it, I am opening the record menu and set it to record the next 10 minutes so I can use this audio later on. Now, you must be wondering why isn't there any sound coming through? This happens because by default, Absynth will only play sounds when a key is pressed. This is actually another reason why there is a hold button provided on the virtual keyboard. By pressing the hold button, and basically any key from the keyboard will cause for the sample to play. Notice that the pitch is transposing for the actual note played on the keyboard. This is happening because the transpose option on the oscillator is active. These options act just like we saw earlier on the patching tutorials. By selecting Hertz, for example, will cause the sample to be played at a selected frequency despite the note being played. This is excellent if your intention is to simply load the WAV file and use it as an audio source. The mono stereo switch will select between a mono or stereo reproduction, while the start control option will define the starting point of the playback within the sample relatively to the overall sample duration. The mod panel at the top offers you one more option, the play mode. Here you can select whether to loop or not the audio sample and specify which part of the audio file you would like to see looped by selecting a loop start and end time. The granular mode also uses a sample as basis for the sound creation. However, this option divides the sample into small grains, each containing tiny cropped fragments of the audio sample. In this main panel, you will find the same options as in sample mode, but switching to mod panel, you will find several new editable parameters. The time control determines the playback speed of the sample. The density control determines the density of grains that are being played simultaneously between 1 and 8. The size option refers to the length of every grain, and these last three parameters all refer to random values. Random time of the grain's feedback speed, random amplitudes or volume of each individual grain, and random frequency or pitch of each grain. As you can see, by pushing these options, you can really achieve results that differ a lot from the original source. Let's now move on to the audio in option. This option basically sets your audio input signal as the main audio source. You can choose whether to receive audio from a mono or stereo source. The input menu displays a total of 6 possible audio inputs, which can be configured in the Audio and Media Settings dialog on the standalone version of fSynth 5. I have my bass guitar hooked directly into the second input of my audio interface, so I am just going to select input number 2 as my main source, and I am going to push the volume a little so you can listen to it loud and clear. Be sure to have that hold option and the key selected on the virtual keyboard so you can listen to the audio coming in through your inputs. You can apply, for example, a filter, wave shaper, an effect, to shape and process your audio source, just like we saw before with every other audio being generated by fSynth's oscillators. This allows you to perform and process your audio live. As you can see, fSynth is really an exciting instrument for processing external audio sources as well, but you can also set it as a plugin and send MIDI or audio information through a background audio software like Pro Tools, Cubase, Ableton Live or Logic. Stay tuned to our next tutorial video to learn how.